What's up, all of you beautiful nerds? It's the day for me. It's the day of Avengers Endgame, and I was trying to think of what kind of a video I wanted to do. What did I want to do before Endgame? There's no more speculating to be done. There's no more theorizing. There's no more any of that stuff. And I decided the one thing I wanted to do, and it's going to be a very short video, and I know we're live technically, but I just wanted to kind of get this out there. Off the cuff, no script. Just wanted to talk to you guys about what Avengers Endgame means to me, how dope this journey has been, how awesome it has been to share this journey with a lot of you guys out there. It's just been really cool. So this is just kind of a video talking about that. I'm going to try to keep it short, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then I'm leaving. I'm going to see Endgame with my buddies, and then I am going to see Endgame again. And wow, okay, it's just really crazy. So let me just kind of get into this. So I remember in 2008 being there when Iron Man first came out. Okay, and I remember watching Iron Man, and I had seen a lot of comic book movies beforehand, and I had been really into comics and just really into nerdy things. I don't know what it is exactly about superheroes or fantasy or some of these other things, but I was always just attracted to them. I always liked them. And for the longest time, whenever I would see a superhero movie or something, even like, the Blade movies, the early Superman movies, Batman movies, and things, it was just something really exciting about it. It's always been that way for me. And the thing about Iron Man was that it was so good, and Robert Downey Jr. was so good in it, and he was coming off of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which I thought was just a great comeback for him after some of the problems that he had been personally dealing with, and he just nailed it. And I just remember thinking like this was something really special. It was just different. It had a different vibe to any other superhero movie that had ever happened, right? And then you see the Incredible Hulk, and I love the Incredible Hulk. You go back and you watch it, and it's like it's sort of shaky or whatever. But the post credit scene and the way they started to build this world together, and then Thor, and then Captain America, and you just fall in love with these movies, right? Now, what happened after that? I don't even think Kevin Feige really saw coming. I mean, the movies were great, they were really successful, but they started to become so good, and they started to really refine what they were doing to the point where they could bring in very new people, new voices, fresh faces, all sorts of different things. But because it was one producer, Kevin Feige, and all these teams and these systems that they had set up and built over time, that it ended up being this thing where the branding could remain strong, even though you sort of build out, took chances, added really new and interesting talent. And I mean, the Russo brothers are one of those people, right? I mean, Winter Soldier is still probably the best movie in the MCU, and that was their debut, right? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But what started to happen was we started to pick up casual audience members. So more and more people who at first were like, I don't want to see the Iron Man movie. It's some guy dressed up in an iron suit, you know, not really feeling it, right? So over time, the movie started to just bring more and more people in, and as they became solidified as this really cool thing that all fit together, that all mattered. You know what I mean? One piece was connected to the other piece. Things that happened in this movie were picked up back in this movie. That thing started to become so widely accepted that we brought in a whole bunch of new people. And so, as a nerd, as someone who has always been into this sort of stuff, ultimately you always want to share this kind of stuff, right? And it's way easier to share a movie with someone than it is like a comic book. So, you could get you and your friends to read a comic book. You read this really awesome comic book, you give it to your friend or whatever. That's really cool stuff. That's how you share that stuff. But like the movies and stuff, you can actually just sit in a room together and like experience it together, and then you can talk about it together, right? And I always wanted to get like, my parents or my friends that weren't really into it, but that were really good friends of mine, girlfriends, all sorts of people. You want them to be into it, right? Anytime you're into something, you want them to be into it. The more and more that this went on, the more and more that we did actually grab a lot of casual people, and it started to become even more communal. And as it has really refined its process and gotten just nothing but better and better and better over time, we've brought in more and more people. It's just become an absolutely incredible, insane thing. And I come at this from so many different levels. So one, just as a nerd, it's like it feels like we won, right? I mean, like it feels like we won. This is the biggest thing in pop culture right now. It's the craziest thing. It has the most people connected to it. More people than ever are going to be talking about these characters and what happens to them, what happens afterwards. It's like we won. as someone who's a fan of entertainment in general and just entertainment industry and what just fascinated with movies my whole life. This is also sort of just this crazy, unprecedented thing. I mean, this movie might open at $1 billion. It might have $1 billion weekend. It might finally crack the $3 billion club. It might join those big James Cameron movies. That's crazy. As just I mean, I went to school for film, so I'm so fascinated with that aspect of it as well. It's just insane. And from the perspective of the actors, it's crazy to me because I remember, I mean, this is such a long endeavor, and I know that in the middle of it, it got shaky for them after, some of the sequels that the actors had, and there was contract stuff, all sorts of stuff. Ultimately, most of these actors, especially Robert Downey Jr., who I believe like sort of was the lead for this, they realized, they took a step back and they realized the significance of what they were doing, how many people were watching, and what this would be if they saw it out to an end of some kind. If they saw it out to an end of some kind, it would go down as this complete, beautiful, unprecedented, just ridiculous thing. And these actors, I mean, it's not easy for them to do this. I mean, they live awesome lives. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm jealous of a lot of the things that they do. But I think just from a career perspective, to stay in this one role, to sort of, I mean, they've sort of embraced it. Like Thor, Chris Hemsworth has an app now, a fitness app, and he's sort of trying to pioneer and brand himself that way. Captain America, Chris Evans, is starting a website to help with political discourse. I believe it's called The Starting Point. Really cool, actually. I want to talk about that in later videos. But point being, like, he has sort of become Captain America, and now he's taking that on and doing more and more work. I mean, Downey has been Iron Man for so long. He has been Iron Man to these actors, sharing the immense wealth that he gets from the contracts that he made. These other actors at first were not making that kind of money at all, and he would bring them in, have lunches, use his wealth to support them and make everything easier. He eventually fought to help them get more money as well. And it's just a really, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that it's a culmination. It's this weird perfect storm that I don't think is too crazy to get emotional about. Like, I don't think it's too crazy to sit back and say, holy crap, A, B, and C happened. The thing itself became so big that people had reverence for it and started sort of making a sacrifice for what the overall thing could eventually be, which is really a team effort. And it's so meta, right? It's so what the Avengers would do. And so, just for me personally, like, I've had a lot of discussions, and there's another layer to this, which I guess I'll get into now, and then I'll sort of wrap this up. But the other side of this, of course, is as a content creator, as someone who has set out, who has a channel called The Den of Nerds, who has a company called The Den of Nerds, and wants to commentary about pop culture and nerd out and talk about all the things that he loves for a living. Avengers has actually allowed me to do that in a lot of ways. So the hype behind this movie just being real brought a lot of attention to the content we were making on this channel. And we've shared together in our excitement and in the journey of anticipation and speculation as we moved forward towards this thing. And so from that perspective as well, it's like, oh my God, like I'm so grateful for this. And this thing that we've all been a part of is just, it's been insane. And so from so many sides of that, from me, it's just a really, really special time. This will go down as just an insanely crazy thing, I'm sure. I think the film's going to be amazing. I can't wait. But also, I wanted to talk about what it meant to me and why it's such a big deal. You know what I mean? I think that this is a very, very big deal. In most of the time when I'm trying to explain my stuff and what I do and the nerdy stuff that I do and to people, they don't really get it. I think with Endgame, it's hard not to get it. It's hard not to see what's going on, what's happening. So That's pretty much it, guys. Just wanted to do this little video, and I know there's no chat in here, and I apologize. Make sure you come by tomorrow. Tonight on Instagram, by the way. Tonight on Instagram at 10:20 Eastern Standard Time, Ken and I are going to do a live reaction on Instagram Live together. We're going to simulcast that. And then tomorrow at noon on the channel, we're doing our big fan chat live spoilers. Bring the spoilers questions. We're going to break everything down. It's going to be awesome. We're doing that again on Monday. So if you see it this weekend, you want to come to a fan chat live Monday night, that's when it'll be for you. If you do see it tonight, like me and a lot of other people, tomorrow at noon, woo! We're going to be talking some spoilers, and I'm pretty excited. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm literally going to go see Endgame now. Wow, okay. As I always say, I hope you guys are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video, which will be after I've seen Endgame. Oh, my God.